Drop the extra in extraordinary, and then you just get ordinary. One of Rhode Island's top school districts is de-leveling classes, which essentially involves keeping every student, regardless of their learning abilities, in the same class in the hopes for inclusivity and equity. And some parents are outraged.
My daughter, who's a sophomore, who has lost out on opportunities, which now I'm learning could affect merit scholarships for her, which I think is appalling.
I'm not going to sit through a school district that's not going to give my son a chance to fulfill his dream.
Prior to removing honors classes, the district removed programs for students with disabilities, the school's most vulnerable students impacted by that. Joining me now, Nicole Neily, Parents Defending Education. Nicole, it's great to see you. And this is really sad when you think about it, because essentially of the woke agenda that's out there and it's plaguing schools now, certain students are not able to excel and get, move forward at the pace that they want to. And those who are severely disadvantaged and need extra help can't get that help because everybody has to stay together. That's what the woke say.
Absolutely. This is a race to the bottom, and it's treating our children as interchangeable cogs in a machine. This is not and should not be a one-size-fits-all solution. It is lazy, and it really, as you pointed out, it hurts the most disadvantaged students, and it hurts our country as well.
And when you think about the education system as a whole, right, we're supposed to be sending our children to school so that they can excel, so that they can become good, productive citizens and contributing members to society. It almost seems like between what's happened with the pandemic that set learning back in such a way, and now what education is morphing into, if you will, our students are almost being set up in some ways to fail.
Absolutely. You know, let's think about who are the people that actually benefit from such a program as this, because it is despicable that we are holding back our high achievers and we are hurting the students who most need help. Rather than lifting up those students, we're trying to put them all into the same box. There are two groups that benefit from this. One are diversity consultants that go and pitch equity audits in these schools and then say, you know what, you have a problem, come in, I'll charge you in perpetuity and I'll fix the solution. So they're making money hand over fist. And the other group of people that are benefiting from this are America's foreign competitors who know that in a few years we will not be competitive in a global marketplace. We are hurting our country actively by doing this to our students.
Yeah, and we're already a few steps behind because of the impact that the pandemic did have on our students and their learning, lockdowns, remote education. A lot fell through the cracks over the course of the last 2 years. In fact, there's a Harvard study that now indicates that pandemic school closures disproportionately harmed the poor. They harmed minority students. And so when you think about who these diversity groups are trying to help, they're actually hurting them.
Absolutely. Who did not have access to Wi-Fi in their homes? Whose parents could not take time off to supervise them while they were stuck in Zoom school? And then what groups are responsible for keeping those schools closed? It was the school unions. Parents fought, parents screamed, parents protested, parents were unhappy because they saw the harm being done. Now we have statistical proof of this, but let's be honest, children were not doing very well in school even before this. Proficiency rates in reading and writing and mathematics have been low.
That's true, and we had a lot of work to do even when, the system wasn't plagued with these problems that we're facing today. This is kind of interesting. Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, pitching this new idea, signing a bill to mandate communism lessons in class. Essentially, what he's saying is that, the children are being indoctrinated and they're being brainwashed when it comes to politics. And that's what so many parents at these school board meetings have been fighting against. Yet, there's a lot of pushback. And he's essentially saying we want kids to understand what communism looks like.
I think it's a great idea. Those who don't know the past are doomed to repeat it. And sadly, that's what we're seeing play out in American schools, where, again, we're holding back the high achievers. We saw that happen, with the Khmer Rouge. We saw that happen in China. We don't want those things to happen again. It's interesting. Most of the vocal activists who come to Parents Defending Education, many of them actually are first-generation Americans because they know how this story ends. They have come from Taiwan. They have come from South America and Venezuela. They have come from Eastern Europe, and they don't want that system to be replicated in America. And so I think it's a great idea, and I commend Governor DeSantis for making that move.
What else can parents do? Obviously, they've tried to be vocal as they can at some of these school board meetings, and they're not always, able to change the agenda. I know that one of the trends post-pandemic has been homeschooling, but obviously that's costly and difficult to do. You need resources for that. So what do you suggest to parents who need to send their kids to school for a public education yet are dissatisfied with how this system is working?
I think we're seeing people before our eyes vote with their feet. We're seeing families form pods if they're not able to homeschool their children on their own. I mean, I know my kids don't listen to me, so that wouldn't work. We're seeing families move to different states. I mean, there's a reason that a lot of families have moved to Florida, because schools in Virginia, schools in New York were closed for 2 years during the pandemic, and people were fed up with that. And so, that's why people have been the public school systems have been hemorrhaging students to private schools, to parochial schools. Catholic schools, actually, prior to the pandemic, we're seeing a decline in enrollment. They're off the charts now, and that's good, because people are realizing this one-size-fits-all solution is not good enough for their children, and they're not going to sit around and wait for that system to change. They're changing it themselves.
It's a great point, and there were many other policies that we saw where people voted with their feet as well, whether it was crime policies or fiscal policies. It's just really, it's been a tough time. Nicole, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.